In the one entity which is changeless, formless, and absolute, and which is perfectly all pervading and motionless, like the ocean after the dissolution of the universe, whence can there be any diversity? Where the root of delusion is dissolved like darkness in light, in the supreme reality, the one without a second, the absolute, whence can there be any diversity? How can the talk of diversity apply to the supreme reality which is one and homogeneous? Who has ever observed diversity in the unmixed bliss of the state of profound sleep? Even before the realization of the highest truth, the universe does not exist in the absolute Brahman, the essence of existence. In none of the three states of time is the snake ever observed in the rope, nor a drop of water in the mirage. The Shrutis themselves declare that this dualistic universe is but a delusion from the standpoint of absolute truth. This is also experienced in the state of dreamless sleep. That which is superimposed upon something else is observed by the wise to be identical with the substratum, as in the case of the rope appearing as a snake. The apparent difference depends solely on error. This apparent universe has its root in the mind and never persists after the mind is annihilated. Therefore, dissolve the mind by concentrating it on the Supreme Self, which is the inmost essence. The wise man realizes in his heart through samadhi the infinite Brahman, which is something of the nature of eternal knowledge and absolute bliss, which has no exemplar, which transcends all limitations, is ever free and without activity, and which is like the limitless sky, indivisible and absolute. The wise man realizes in his heart through samadhi the infinite Brahman, which is devoid of the ideas of cause and effect, which is the reality behind all imaginations, homogeneous, matchless, beyond the range of proofs established by the pronouncements of the Vedas, and ever familiar to us as a sense of the ego. The wise man realizes in his heart through samadhi the infinite Brahman, which is undecaying and immortal, the positive entity which precludes all negations, which resembles the placid ocean and is without a name, in which there are neither merits nor demerits, and which is eternal, pacified and one. With the mind restrained in samadhi, behold in thyself the Atma of infinite glory. Cut off thy bondage strengthened by the impressions of previous births, and carefully attain the consummation of thy birth as a human being. Meditate on the Atma which resides in thee, which is devoid of all limiting adjuncts, the existence, knowledge, bliss absolute, the one without a second, and thou shalt no more come under the round of births and deaths. After the body has once been cast off to a distance like a corpse, the sage never more attaches himself to it, though it is visible as an appearance, like the shadow of a man, owing to the experience of the effects of past deeds. Realizing the Atma, the eternal, pure knowledge and bliss, throw far away this limitation of a body which is inert and filthy by nature, then remember it no more, for something that has been vomited excites but disgust when called in memory. Burning all this with its very root in the fire of Brahman, the eternal and absolute self, the truly wise man thereafter remains alone as the Atma, the eternal pure knowledge and bliss. The knower of truth does no more care whether this body spun out by the threads of prarabdha work falls or remains, like the garland on a cow, for his mind functions are at rest in the Brahman, the essence of bliss. Realizing the Atma, the infinite bliss, as his very self, with what object or for whom should the knower of truth cherish the body? The yogi who has attained perfection and is liberated in life gets this as a result. He enjoys eternal bliss in his mind, internally as well as externally. The result of this passion is knowledge. That of knowledge is withdrawal from sense pleasures, which leads to the experience of the bliss of the self, whence follows peace. If there is an absence of the succeeding stages, the preceding ones are futile. When the series is perfect, the cessation of the objective world, extreme satisfaction and matchless bliss follow as a matter of course. Being unruffled by earthly troubles is the result in question of knowledge. How can a man who did various loathsome deeds during the state of delusion commit the same afterwards, possessed of discrimination? The result of knowledge should be the turning away from unreal things, while attachment to these is the result of ignorance. This is observed in the case of one who knows a mirage and things of that sort, and one who does not. Otherwise, what other tangible result do the knowers of Brahman obtain? If the heart's knot of ignorance is totally destroyed, what natural cause can there be for inducing such a man to selfish action, for he is averse to sense pleasures? When the sense objects excite no more desire, then is the culmination of this passion. The extreme perfection of knowledge is the absence of any impulsion of the egoistic idea, and the limit of self-withdrawal is reached when the mind functions that have been merged appear no more. Freed from all sense of reality of the external sense objects on account of his always remaining merged in Brahman, only seeming to enjoy such sense objects as are offered by others, like one sleepy or like a child, beholding this world as one seen in dreams, and having cognition of it at chance moments, rare indeed is such a man, the enjoyer of the fruits of endless merit, and he alone is blessed and esteemed on earth. That sannyasin has got a steady illumination, who, having his soul wholly immersed in Brahman, enjoys eternal bliss, is changeless and free from activity. That kind of mental function which cognizes only the identity of the self and Brahman, purified of all adjuncts, which is free from duality, and which concerns itself only with pure intelligence, is called illumination. He who has this perfectly steady is called a man of steady illumination. He whose illumination is steady, who has constant bliss, and who has almost forgotten the phenomenal universe, is accepted as a man liberated in this very life. He who, even having his mind merged in Brahman, is nevertheless quite alert, but free at the same time from the characteristics of the waking state, and whose realization is free from desires, is accepted as a man liberated in life. He whose cares about the phenomenal state have been appeased, who though possessed of a body consisting of parts is yet devoid of parts, and whose mind is free from anxiety, is accepted as a man liberated in life. The absence of the ideas of I and mine, even in this existing body, which follows as a shadow, is a characteristic of one liberated in life. Not dwelling on enjoyments of the past, taking no thought for the future, and looking with indifference upon the present, are characteristics of one liberated in life. Looking everywhere with an eye of equality in this world, full of elements possessing merits and demerits, and distinct by nature from one another, is a characteristic of one liberated in life. When things pleasant or painful present themselves, to remain unruffled in mind in both cases, through the sameness of attitude, is a characteristic of one liberated in life. The absence of all ideas of interior or exterior in the case of a sannyasin, owing to his mind being engrossed in tasting the bliss of Brahman, is a characteristic of one liberated in life. He who lives unconcerned, devoid of all ideas of I and mine, with regard to the body, organs, etc., as well as to his duties, is known as a man liberated in life. He who has realized his Brahmanhood, aided by the scriptures, and is free from the bondage of transmigration, is known as a man liberated in life. He who never has the idea of I with regard to the body, organs, etc., nor that of it in respect of things other than these, is accepted as one liberated in life. He who through his illumination never differentiates the Jeev and the Brahman, nor the universe and Brahman, is known as a man liberated in life. He who feels just the same when his body is either worshipped by the good or tormented by the wicked, is known as a man liberated in life. The sannyasin in whom the sense objects directed by others are engulfed like flowing rivers in the sea, and produce no change owing to his identity with the existence absolute, is indeed liberated. For one who has realized the truth of Brahman, there is no more attachment to the sense objects as before. If there is, that man has not realized his identity with Brahman, but is one whose senses are outgoing in their tendency. If it be urged that he is still attached to the sense objects through the momentum of his old desires, the reply is no, for desires get weakened through the realization of one's identity with Brahman. The propensities of even a confirmed libertine are checked in the presence of his mother. Just so, when Brahman, the bliss absolute, has been realized, the man of realization has no longer any worldly tendency.